Yes, so we were discussing about this Z1 minus C1 value. So basically we have already calculated, we already know what is the Z value, that is it is 3, and we have calculated it as 1.65, that is C value. So that is the reason that Z1 minus C1 will be 1.35. Next is Z2 minus C2, which is equal to 0. Z3 minus C3 is again 0. Z4 minus C4 is minus 1.65. Now after doing all this calculation, we can see that with the available resource, if we continue manufacturing the products, okay, so we will be able to gain better profits by manufacturing product A. Okay, so that is the conclusion here. The profit is 1.35 rupees per product A. So that is the reason in the second cycle we try to manufacture more number of product A. Why it is called as only product A? Because it is related to Z1 minus C1. Now I am just going back to the table so that it will be clear why we are discussing only Z1 minus C1. Yes, so here if you have to see, it is Z1 minus C1. This was Z1, and C1 value will be the next whatever we have calculated. Okay, now we will be just considering this as the reference column in the next calculation. Okay, all right. So just going ahead, we see that the maximum value is 1.35, that is Z1 minus C1, that will be the reference column. Alright, so this is just the explanation of the same, so you can just note these things. Yes, so as I said, the previous table is being written again, only addition is this Cj value. Whatever Cj values we had calculated in the previous pages, the same thing is written here. So this is extra and this is also extra. Addition to this particular table 1.65, everything is written the same way what we had written in the previous. So 5, 0, 1.65, these are nothing but C2, C3 and C4 values, and Z1 minus C1 is 1.35, 0, 0 and minus 1.65. The same values are written here. Okay, alright, so we are going to consider this as the reference column as I said before. Alright, so going ahead, now we have to determine what would be the total quantity of product A that will be manufactured. Okay, now we know that product A will give maximum amount of profit. We should next determine what would be the total quantity of product A that will be manufactured. Okay, now after manufacturing product B, the available raw material is only 2 kgs and total available labor hours is 2 hours. Okay, so with this total available resource, what will be the total quantity of product A that will be manufactured and total product A that will be manufactured again. Okay, so this is raw material required for manufacturing one product A, and this is the total labor hour required for manufacturing one product B. Okay, so we'll just see how it is achieved. It is nothing but 2 kg, that is RHS divided by RHS. If we divide RHS with the reference column, we'll get the total quantity here. 2 divided by 0.67 is 2.98, and next is RHS divided by the reference column, that is 0.33. okay, 2 divided by 0.33 is 6.06. So 2 answers we are getting here, 2 options we have. Either we can manufacture nearly 3 products, 3 product B, product A, or 6 product A, but we are going to select the one which is minimum. Why? Because only those many raw materials are available. Okay, now this raw material has to increase if we want to manufacture more number of product B. Okay, so that is the reason we always, like what we did in the previous problem, always we have to select the one which is minimum. That is the reason this is selected. Okay, so that is the reason we select this as the reference row. Okay, that is the reason this is selected as the reference row. Okay, so going ahead, now we have to calculate the new value for row 1 and row 2. So this is row 1 and this is row 2. For these two rows we have to again calculate new values. How we are going to calculate? Okay, so first this is the reference row. Now this reference row should be divided by the value which is being overlapped twice. Now this value is being overlapped twice, that is 0.67. Why it is being overlapped twice? Because once it is selected in the column and again the second time it is selected in the reference row. So that is the reason we are going to select this. So same thing is written here. New row 1 is equal to old row 1 divided by overlap value. Old row 1 divided by 0.67 would be the new row 1. Okay. So by doing that we will get all these values 1, 0, 1.49, minus 0.49 and 2.98, and this is the reason for that 0.67. I am just going to the previous page. 0.67 divided by the same value will be 1, which is being written here. Next, 0 divided by 0.67. 0 divided by 0.67 would be 0. This is the new value. Next, old value is 1. 1 divided by 0.67 is, so 1 divided by 0.67 is 1.49. Similarly, next value will be minus 0.33 divided by 0.67, which is equal to minus 0.49. And the last value is 2 divided by 0.67. 2 divided by 0.67, which is equal to 2.98. Okay, this is how we are supposed, this is the same thing which we have done in the previous table. Next is we have to calculate new value for row 2. So I am just going back to the previous table. Now in this case we want to calculate new value for this first. How do we do that? We are going to consider the reference column. We are going to consider the reference column, and again we are going to consider the same column because I am calculating new value for 0.33. Okay, how it is written we will just see. Alright, so 0.67, X column is written 0.67, 0.33, reference column is also written 0.67 and 0.33. Okay, now how to consider A, B, C and D? As I said before, B, C and D will be inside the reference column and reference row. Since I want to calculate new value for 0.33, I am going to consider this as A. Next, this is B, C and D. Okay. So this is how we are going to consider this, and the equation would be this, and the value will be 0. Next going back, I want to calculate new value for 1. Now how do we do that? We are going to consider this as A. I am going to consider this as A. I think we will just go to the next page. Yes, it is here. I am going to consider this value as A. Next, this as B. Why I am coming to only this particular column? Because this is the reference column. Next, this is C, and this as D. Okay, so this is how we are going to consider. Let's see how we have written it. Alright, so 0, 1, that is Y column is 0 and 1, and we are going to consider reference column as 0.67 and 0.33. Okay, so A, B, C and D. So just remember one thing, the one value which is being overlapped twice will be considered as C. Okay, so again this equation, A minus B divided by C into D, which is equal to 1. Okay, now similarly for S1 calculation, a similar thing is to be done. Okay, yes, so in this case this will be considered as A. Okay, this will be considered as A. Okay, and this will be considered as B and C, and finally this will be considered as D. Okay, A, B, C and D. Okay, so again we have to formulate the equation A minus B divided by C into D. Okay, so this is how we are going to formulate this. So this will be S1, and similarly we have to calculate S2. We are supposed to consider the S2 of the previous table and reference column of the previous table, and this will be the answer finally. Just remember the signs here. This is minus 0.33 divided by 0.67 into minus 0.33. Now just remember one thing, minus into minus will be plus, minus into minus will be plus, so that is the reason we are going to get this answer. Okay, So just remember this while calculating. Now similar thing also has to be done for RHS. So just remember this particular calculation. So many of them will forget to calculate RHS, new value for RHS. So this is how we are supposed to consider. RHS column we are going to consider, as well as the reference column also is being considered, and the same way we are going to calculate it, and after applying the equation we are going to get this answer. 1.02 will be the answer. Okay.